Vikings legendary quarterback.
U.S. Bank Stadium, first official day game in the history of this brand new stadium in downtown Minneapolis, and it is incredible. And here is former Viking great Tommy Kramer to blow the horn. Kramer, the former Vikings quarterback, one of the all-time greats in the history of this franchise. Solomon, we've been in a lot of NFL stadiums over the years. This place is off the charts.
It is wonderful, and boy, the crowd, they get fired up. They start blowing that Viking horn, and they're ready to go medieval. I'm excited for today's game.
Houston won the toss, they defer, and so the Vikings will open with possession of the football. How about a little change up here in terms of the kick? That's Brian Peters, their linebacker, kicking it to the end zone on a bounce. This is Cordero Patterson fielding, and he is brought down at the 16-yard line, an official return of 16 for Patterson. So a bit of a shake-up there with Houston special teams, and here comes Sam Bradford. Think of everything this kid has been through over the past couple of years, couple of devastating knee injuries, 2 career-altering trades, and it's an incredible 3-game start to his Vikings career.
Well, he admitted that he is enjoying playing the game. He said, I've learned to just take it 1 week at a time and just enjoy the moment. And boy, he has to be enjoying himself as they've gotten off to that 4-0 start.
First and 10 as Minnesota begins from their own 16. In the face of pressure, a pass intended for Jerick McKinnon falls incomplete. How about the starters for a Minnesota offense that, despite the 4-0 start, is towards the bottom of mostly every offensive category? Jeremiah Searles has to start. Andre Smith, their usual starter, out with an elbow, and Adam Thielen makes the start for Stephon Diggs, their #1 wide receiving target, who is out today with a groin injury. 2nd and 10 from the 16. Bradford with the give to McKinnon. Penalty markers fly right after that ball was snapped. Christian Covington on the tackle.
Offside. Number 90. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
It's on Clowney. Jeff Triplett is our referee. Minnesota taking on this Houston defense. It has been so good for Bill O'Brien and Romeo Crennel through the first 4 games of the season. Where does Bradford go here on 2nd and 5 after the Houston penalty? Bradford, quick strike out of the gun, completes far side of the field. It is caught. That's Patterson, who's got a first down for the Vikings. And now the aforementioned Houston defense, top 10 in most major defensive categories. Christian Covington continues to start in J.J. Watt's old spot. Brian Cushing making a very speedy return from that MCL sprain, return last weekend. On the back end, no Kareem Jackson, their longtime starter at one corner opposite Jonathan Joseph, and so Kevin Johnson makes the start. There's Romeo Crennel, their defensive coordinator. 3rd year in that spot alongside Bill O'Brien. 1st and 10 from just inside the 30. This is McKinnon, who has gotten the majority of their reps over the past couple of weeks since the injury to AP, a pickup of 7. Solid, what are we looking for early?
Well, for Houston, it really is about trying to replace J.J. Watt. You know, no Watt, no problem means you have to have some energy. And then for Mike Zimmer's Minnesota Vikings, the wide receivers have to step it up, and they can't be missing in action today. They've got to find a way to produce. Only 1 receiving touchdown by a wide receiver this year by Stephon Diggs.
2nd and 3 after a good first down play. This is McKinnon again. 3rd day late, crosses the 40. First down run and more. McKinnon a pickup of 8 as they move the chains again.
Now the Vikings come into this game with the league's worst rushing attack, only averaging 64 yards a game. And then watch McKinnon. He's a guy that can be very slippery. He's better than you think. He can break tackles. And if he can generate a run game for this offense, it'd be great.
Rushed for 85 yards in that win last week. McKinnon blown up this time in the backfield. In that game last week, the first game that they had rushed for 100 yards as a team. And so, as you point out, if they can figure out the running game now moving forward with some consistency, this team will be even more difficult to deal with.
Yeah, it's the worst rushing offense, but you can see the Houston Texans haven't been that great at stopping the run. This Texans defense is good in just about every single category except for their run defense, so that's an area that is going to be tested.
2nd and 12 as they line up at the 42. This is Bradford. Goes far side of the field, and he's got Thielen wide open. First down on the catch. 23 yards on the strike from Bradford.
Well, Thielen is a guy that really, he knows how to get open. He's going to be working up top here. It's what we call that 7 route. And this is where Bradford has always been good in terms of his ball placement and delivery, quick release. His timing and tempo within the passing game has always been good. And I think here, playing in North Turner's offense, we're seeing him play as well as we've ever seen him play.
His 6th career start for Thielen, 14th catch of the season. Change at the running back. This is Matt Asiata on his first take, and he is leveled by Clowney.
Wow.
Tackled by Clowney.
Injured Viking guard is Brandon Fusco, the 60th man out of Slippery Rock.
There's Clowney there. We saw him with these kind of deep cleavers when he was coming out of South Carolina, which made him the first overall pick in the draft. It was a slow developing play. It's why he was able to come right off the edge and smack Matt Asiata right in the kisser.
Well, this Minnesota offensive line that has had to deal with a number of injuries already this season. As Fusco is escorted to the sideline, so Zach Karen, their 2nd-year guard out of Toledo, former undrafted rookie a couple of years back, will come in at least for the moment. 2nd and 12. Just a couple of minutes gone by in this first quarter. This is Bradford's going to take the shot. He's got his man wide open. It's Thielen for the Minnesota touchdown. 36 yards from Bradford.
And Spiro, we said the wide receivers had to make a play, come out of that witness protection program. They can't be missing in action. It's a nice double move by Thielen. Watch at the top. He's going to come here, and then he just beats Jonathan Joseph with that double move. And watch this laser-like throw from Sam Bradford. That's the double move on the outside, and Jonathan Joseph never gets beat on those kind of plays, but he bit on the move by Thielen. Thielen's making a play for his quarterback, and if this Vikings offense can get to a good lead, we know their defense will pour it on.
First touchdown of the season for Thielen. And that Houston defense, #1 in the league in pass defense, entering week 5. Give up a big play there. Blair Walsh, who has been struggling with his kicking this season, able to boot in the point after. Thielen on the 36-yard touchdown strike from Bradford. Well, this kid Adam Thielen has been an overachiever. Made the Vikings practice squad after an open tryout back in 2013. Today making only the 6th start of his career. He has been, at least before the last couple of years, primarily a special teams player. And no Stephon Diggs on it. So far, no problem for Minnesota.
Yeah, with Diggs out, he came into the game with the only touchdown by a Minnesota Vikings wide receiver so far this year. And now Thielen cashes in.
This one is played by Braxton Miller. Missed the last couple of games with a hamstring injury. Miller will be their slot receiver this afternoon as he is brought down by Andrew Sendejo. And we'll get our first look at Brock Osweiler. Still trying to find his footing. 4 starts into his Houston career. 2 picks as he continues to make some mistakes in the early going of his Houston tenure.
But overall, he's been good. And that's why they're 3-1 so far this year. They have the good defense. But there are times when he tries to force the ball into DeAndre Hopkins when he's double covered, and it's come back to bite him.
We'll start from the 17 on 1st and 10. Osweiler off the play action, completes on the run. That's the tight end Ryan Griffin, who's starting to factor into this Houston offense. Starters in front of Osweiler. Dwayne Brown makes his season debut. Missed the first 4 weeks with that torn quad injury. Welcome sight. Will Fuller leads all NFL rookie receivers in receiving yards and is their #1 target through the first 4 games of the season. 2nd and 7. Play action from Osweiler. All day to throw, nowhere to go with it, and will throw it out of bounds as that back end of the Minnesota secondary holding tight. Starters for Mike Zimmer's defense at the top of almost every defensive category. Shamar Stephen making the start. No Sharif Floyd, still a couple of weeks away from making his return. Anthony Barr, one of the headliners in the linebacking unit, and Xavier Rhodes quickly becoming the NFL's newest shutdown corner. Today trying to deal with DeAndre Hopkins. Third and 7. Osweiler fires and it's incomplete. Intended for Jalen Strong, and the Texans will punt.
Osweiler just didn't collect himself, didn't gather his feet. Look at the footwork. See, he rushes this throw right there. And this is just an inaccurate throw because he did have Strong open over to the left side as pressure was coming into the face of Brock Osweiler. Every pass is going to be contested by this Vikings defense today.
Shane Leckler, 1,300th career punt of his 17-year career. This is Marcus Sherrills returning, crosses the 40. And he is tackled after a 47-yard punt by Max Bullis. 7-0 Vikings on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. And by the new 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Jeep free to be.
U.S. Bank Stadium, this architectural masterpiece that they have constructed in downtown Minneapolis. First official day game in the history of this place. Sam, when you played in the Metrodome over the years, this place is just incredible. 1st and 10 as Minnesota's offense back onto the field. Quick strike. This is Patterson, who has figured much more frequently into their offense over the past couple of weeks. Tackled on the play by John Simon.
First possession of the game, Adam Thielen comes alive for these Minnesota Vikings. 23-yard catch against Jonathan Joseph, and then excellent double move. Now watch the eyes of Joseph. They're in the backfield. When you take your eye off your coverage and looking at the quarterback, great throw by Sam Bradford, beating Jonathan Joseph for the 36-yard touchdown. So Thielen is waking up and making plays on this offense.
This is the Wildcat formation. No surprise, McKinnon, former triple option quarterback at Georgia Southern. A 3rd-round pick in 2014, a pickup of 6. Looked like Houston wasn't ready for it.
Well, what did Mike Zimmer tell us? That they're going to have to manufacture rush yards. They're dead last in rushing. We already said it. We saw the quick screen over to Cordero Patterson, and then with the Wildcat to McKinnon. That's how they're going to manufacture some yards in an untraditional way.
1st down on the play by Minnesota. Pump fake from Bradford. 1st down pass down the side intended for Thielen. And that falls incomplete. Tomorrow on CBS, see why TV Guide calls Scorpion TV's smartest drama. Tomorrow at a new time, 10/9 Central, only CBS. There's Norv Turner, one of 3 former NFL head coaches on Mike Zimmer's staff. He has figured some things out, certainly with all the injuries that they've had. No Teddy Bridgewater, a devastating injury. AP going down week 2. But Norv Turner has found some magic with Bradford in this unit.
Hey,
2nd and 10, high snap fielded by Bradford. They keep it on the ground to McKinnon. And speaking of injuries, it really is something that is just hard to comprehend. The players that have gone down, Diggs and Smith, the latest scratches, but the devastating injury of Teddy Bridgewater on August the 30th. Matt Khalil, their left tackle, and of course AP, their all-world running back. And all that said, Solomon, to be 4-0, really remarkable.
It is. You're missing some of your best football players, and your running back Adrian Peterson, the quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, and then Matt Khalil at left tackle.
3rd and 6. Bradford from the gun gets rid of it quickly. That's Asiata down the sideline and all the way to the Houston 15. We'll see where the officials spot it. 23 yards on the play by Asiata.
Well, he's just going to come out. Then watch the linebacker and the safety. You're going to see Asiata here, comes out of the backfield. But watch the linebackers. Look, they're going to bump into one another right there on the outside. That was number 35, the safety, Eddie Pleasant.
Bradford gets him to the line quickly. Houston was scurrying to get defenders on the field. They were not prepared for that. A couple of penalty flags fly in from the Texans secondary, as Thielen was the man who made the catch.
Too many men. Defense. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
All about up-tempo. Try to catch this defense off balance. And now look at Romeo Crennel's defense is on the ropes. They have to be able to turn back this Vikings offense. Can't give up a touchdown here. Fall behind 14-0. They've got to be able to put pressure on Sam Bradford, but cover these quick-hitting pass plays.
1st and 5 after the penalty. Now the run play called by McKinnon. Second effort gets him inside the 5. Brought down finally by Bernardrick McKinney, but they pick up 8 more. It'll be 1st and goal.
Watch this move that McKinnon puts on A.J. Boyer right there. Now that's just what we call creating yards by beating the first unblocked defender. That's being creative. Looking like Adrian Peterson inside the red zone.
1st and goal. This is McKinnon again. So this Houston defense that has been so good through the first 4 weeks, playing on its heels here, already down 7-0. 7 to change left in the quarter.
And one of the reasons why the Vikings offense has been good down inside the red zones because of their tight end Kyle Rudolph. He's 6'6". He's a big body guy at 260 pounds. You better cover him, and you may have to put more than one defender on him. Now, A.J. Boyer has been really good at defending against tight ends. So let's see how Houston will match up on him, and let's see if the Vikings will go to him.
2nd and goal. Asiata trying to find the end zone. Texans front able to hold. And now late flag comes in from the defensive side of the football.
Well, the Vikings have done a good job of running the football here in the early going against this defense. Not so sure what this infraction might entail.
Personal foul. Face mask. Number 90 of the defense. Half the distance from the goal. Automatic first down.
That's on Clowney.
Number 62 reports is eligible. Number 62 is eligible.
Well, this is going to come on the back end of the play. He's being manhandled by Easton on that play.
9th play of the drive for the Vikings. Asiata. No signal yet. Touchdown Vikings.
I got to tell you, Nick Easton has come in. He's playing that guard position, and he is just dominating against Jadeveon Clowney, blowing him off the line of scrimmage, creating some room for Asiata, who's more of their power runner. Look at this. They're knocking white jerseys back, and look at Easton right there against Clowney. Right there on the edge. Clowney does get some penetration, but give credit to the Minnesota Vikings offensive line, getting movement as they jump out 14-0.
So Joe Berger, the man who started at center for Minnesota, replaced on that drive by Nick Easton, second-year man out of Harvard. And he factors into that scoring play with Minnesota jumping out to a 2-touchdown lead. Point after by Blair Walsh is perfect. And the Vikings dominance continuing here in Week 5. 14-0. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, people affected by severe weather and other disasters need help now. To support those impacted by Hurricane Matthew, you can text Matthew to 90999. Each text is a $10 gift to American Red Cross Hurricane Relief. Our thoughts with all of those people affected by the devastation of that hurricane this week. Spiro Dita, Salmon Wilcox, rest of our CBS crew, all Vikings up 14-0.
The Vikings said they wanted to dominate on first and second down. That's exactly what they've done. They've only converted one third down play in the game, and here they find themselves up 14-0.
All the talk about their offense having to catch up with what the defense has done. They have been really flawless so far in this first quarter. Tyler Irvin taking a knee. Osweiler will have it from the 25 when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut. And by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
Well, both Mike Zimmer and Bill O'Brien cut their teeth and learned from some of the best head coaches in the history of the sport as their chess match continues in this opening quarter. 14-0 Minnesota. This is Lamar Miller trying to find the edge. Tackled on the play by Eric Kendricks. And one thing about the Vikings with how good they are, Solomon, defensively, have to be careful here if you're the Texans down a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, Mike Zimmer, there's no doubt he wants to drop the hammer on this Texan team early. With this big lead, they want to be able to pin their ears back, turn that front four on this defensive line and come after Brock Osweiler. He's got to protect the football.
Second and 9. This is Miller off the give from Osweiler, able to cross the 30-yard line. Well, there's been a 3-year transformation here under Mike Zimmer as he has the Vikings atop the NFL standings at 4-0.
Yeah, he's built it through the defense. Number one in takeaway, second in terms of points allowed, and then they know how to hit, hurry, and harass the quarterback. Second most sacks in the NFL.
Lamar Miller lines up at the bottom of your picture here on a critical 3rd and 5 for the Texans. And they'll take a timeout. This has quickly become one of the hardest venues to play in the NFL, as Bill O'Brien and company have to burn their first timeout.
When they give you that double-A blitz look, that really confuses the protection. It confuses the quarterback. And see, there you have it right there. When those two linebackers, Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr, they line up in that A gap, it really stresses the protection. It stresses the quarterback. We told you they want to pin their ears back and come hit them. They can't figure it out. Forced to burn a timeout.
Osweiler on 3rd and 5. Quick strike, batted down. Kendricks got his hand on it, and it's incomplete. So back-to-back 3-and-outs for Houston to start.
Kendricks doing a really good job. He had lined up in that A gap, but he knew he had Lamar Miller in man-to-man coverage. He was able to pull out of that blitz look and still provide coverage on Lamar Miller. They're athletic linebackers that allow a great deal of flexibility in Mike Zimmer's defense.
Kendricks, the second-year man out of UCLA, was the NFC's Defensive Player of the Week after that fantastic Week 1 performance for Minnesota. This is Sherrills trying to find some open space up the sideline. Officials will spot him right around the 30, 54 yards on the punt, and 14 on the return by Sherrills.
During the kick, holding number 94, the return team. 10-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
14-0 Vikings as Minnesota looks for more on CBS. Thursday, your weekend starts here when the Denver Broncos take on the San Diego Chargers. Thursday Night Football, CBS and NFL Network. Back with you from US Bank Stadium. The Minnesota Vikings, if you have just joined us, throwing an uppercut punch, up 2 touchdowns already.
Yeah, they're just racking up the yards, and Houston can't get anything going with only 8 yards of total offense so far in this game.
Texans already a 2-game lead atop the AFC South. Texans have not beaten a team with a winning record so far this season. Right now failing in their first big test of 2016. It was Jared McKinnon unable to get to the line of scrimmage. We send you to New York and an update with JB.
What rust with Tom Brady, Boomer? Well, no rust whatsoever. You talk about an uppercut punch. Spiro, how about 8 of 10, 129 yards, that touchdown to Martellus Bennett. They take a 14-7 lead over the Browns.
Back to Spiro and Solomon.
Yeah, Boomer, that might be an overhand right. Uppercut comes first, then the overhand right. Right, Spiro?
Got to soften him up a little bit. 2nd and 9. After they gave McKinnon a yard on the play with his forward progress. This is Bradford just outside his own end zone, completes. It's Jarius Wright, who has not figured much into this offense, but with some of the injuries that they've had, no Stephon Diggs today. Wright, who was inactive weeks 1, 2, and 4, getting a chance.
For Norv Turner, what he wants for Sam Bradford is to keep the offense in rhythm. That means be successful on 1st and 2nd down, quick rhythm passing, create 3rd and medium like you see here with 3rd 5. Now you can go with the bubble screen or hitch pass over to Cordero Patterson.
See out of the lone setback. And some movement pre-snap on the right side of that offensive line.
Number 78 offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
It's Jeremiah Searles, who's making only his 2nd career start, with Andre Smith out with the elbow injury.
And now you put the offense at a disadvantage when you're facing 3rd and long. And that's where the Houston Texans have been really good. One of the best 3rd down defenses in the National Football League.
Bradford from the gun, trying to elude the pressure, and he cannot. Where will the officials spot it here? Appears to be just outside of the end zone. Whitney Merciless and Antonio Smith dump him for a loss of 7, and the Vikings just barely avert disaster.
You know, they tried to snap the ball real quick, but you can see Merciless, he comes right now. I mean, he beats the tackle, TJ Clements, right away to put pressure on Sam Bradford. Vikings very fortunate what didn't result into a safety.
So both of Bradford's feet still on the field of play outside the end zone. So Jeff Locke for the Vikings. This is Tyler Irvin's going to play it inside Vikings territory, inside the 40. And Houston will have by far their best starting field position of the day. Cordero Patterson has done a little bit of everything for Mike Zimmer in terms of special teams on the stop. 55 yards in the punt, 18 on the return. We'll see what the flag is here. Way back at the Vikings 19. One area where Jeff Locke has been very good is Minnesota's punter. Entering today, they had only allowed 16 return yards on punts. So that's something that Minnesota has not had to contend with, as they give up 18 on that return alone. Our referee is Jeff Triplett. Extended conference with his mates. Here's the call.
There is no foul for a blindside block as the block occurred into the chest.
All right, so they pick up the flag, and Osweiler will have it from the Vikings 38. I'll see what everybody is laughing about. Kevin Can Wait, TV's #1 new comedy. Kevin James stars tomorrow after The Big Bang Theory, only CBS. US Bank Stadium, downtown Minneapolis. 14-0 Vikings. Texans, as you saw, have gone 2 3-and-outs to start their offensive day. Osweiler throwing off his back foot, finds Miller, taking on a tackler. It was Kendricks there who got bulldozed, but still able to make the stop. It's a pickup of 4.
And essentially, the Houston Texans, they're going to have to get the run game going with Lamar Miller. These linebackers, Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr, very active behind a really good defensive front of the Minnesota Vikings.
Second and 6. But a delayed handoff to Miller. A lot made of the amount of touches we've seen from Miller so far his first 4 games as a Texan. averaging over 26 of them to lead the NFL.
We talk about the chess match between Bill O'Brien calling plays on offense for Houston, Mike Zimmer on the other side, the head coach calling plays for his defense. They're very good at shutting down your run game because just like we showed that double-A blitz against the quarterback, they want to blitz your run also.
Third and 5. Osweiler steps up, far side, and that pass well short of Griffin. And Osweiler has just been off in this first quarter.
Well, they're forcing Osweiler to play from an unclean pocket. Watch how they shrink it. Stop it right there. See how they just able to shrink that pocket? And that's why he could not step up and drive that ball outside. Just was no room to operate to be able to complete that pass.
Even with his frame at 6'8", going to struggle to get the football out to Ryan Griffin. Nick Novak going to attempt a 51-yarder, not even close. Wide right. So a drive that began at the Minnesota 38 ends without any points.
Oh, there's a missed opportunity. They had great field position, as you mentioned, Spiro, but then to not be able to convert, pick up a first down, and then to miss this field goal where you have plenty of leg, but he pushed it wide right. And then you give the ball back to the Vikings at their own 40-yard line. Bill O'Brien says, wow, we can't catch a break.
There's Novak, veteran kicker. Unable to salvage those 3 points. So 14-0 Vikings as their offense takes over. This is Patterson able to find the edge. And Patterson, who had that solid rookie season, 9 touchdown catches back in 2013 in Zimmer's doghouse in 2014. Suddenly back into the fold here in this offense.
He's going to line in the backfield, come around this way. And this is how they're going to, what we call manufacture rush yards. He has the big, strong body. He's very quick and strong at the point of attack. You see him breaking tackles there. He'll lower the shoulder. He's a wide receiver, but he runs it as if he's a running back.
North Turner again lines up his unit in a Wildcat. This is McKinnon. And so that time Houston's defense was not fooled. Christian Covington on the tackle. It'll be third down coming up with about a half-minute left.
No, normally you get across that 50, North Turner, that 45 or 40-yard line. They like to go ahead and try to take a shot if they can get the matchups that they want. Thielen's been good at getting down the field. They've yet to go to their talented tight end, Kyle Rudolph.
Should be the final play of the quarter. 3rd and 7 on the 45. Here comes the blitz. Bradford stuck on the throw. He finds his man nonetheless. It's right. And Bradford takes a lick from Whitney Merciless. A pickup of 10 as Minnesota moves the chains. End of 1 in Minneapolis. We'll return after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
We are back at U.S. Bank Stadium, and watch Whitney Merciless. He's going to come all the way around here, and he's going to smack Sam Bradford right in the chops. But Bradford's tough. He hangs in there, still able to complete this pass to Jarris Wright to pick up the first down. But boy, he gets crushed by Whitney Merciless. Look at the back of his head hits that turf. He's able to get up and stay in the game. And right now, look, the Vikings are going with their form of a wildcat.
So Bradford will line up at the top of your screen.
Yeah.
And McKinnon, who has already taken a couple of direct snaps in his first half, lines up in that wildcat. Running play called to Asiata. Have to wonder if Bradford is okay after you saw his head snap back. Stays on the field at least for the moment. This is someone who is certainly no stranger to injuries and having his body banged around in the NFL.
Yeah, we said it at the top. The only thing you ever question with Sam Bradford is can he stay healthy? Whenever he's been able to play, he's been able to play very well. And I think more than an above average quarterback. We saw the toughness there as he stood and took that hit, still was able to complete that pass. His accuracy and ball placement, even when blitzed, is at a really good level.
Yet to throw a pick, and this offense yet to turn it over amazingly through 4 weeks of the season. Quick strike by Bradford finds Thielen, who had the touchdown earlier. We go to New York, JB and Boomer.
An effective Colts drive.
Hey, you talk about a tough quarterback there, Sully. How about Andrew Luck? 4th and goal right there, 1-yard touchdown pass to Dwayne Allen. They take a lead over the Bears, 10-3.
Spiro Detus and Solomon Wilcots.
That's right, Boomer. Andrew Luck has had to prove it to be tough as any linebacker in this league with all the hits he's taken in Indianapolis.
Colts trying to get their season going. 3rd and 1. This is Asiata able to move the chains as he ducks inside the 35-yard line, and already saw him and North Turner going deep into his playbook. We're seeing a little bit of everything from a number of offensive players.
Yeah, it's really about using the talent you have on this roster. Without Adrian Peterson, North Turner is having to resort to some creativity to run the football.
See the time of possession owned so far by the Vikings. Bradford probes the defense, nowhere to go with it, throws it out of bounds. And the magic that North Turner has worked with Bradford after he was thrown into the playbook, acquired in that trade 8 days before the opener, just a testament to the kind of offensive coach Turner is.
He's had to tweak his system just to accommodate Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford came from that wordy West Coast offense to a number system. And so maybe a play that normally would be called, say, 572 H arrow F9 swing, they've given you just one word: warrior. Warrior tells you everything that you need to do, because he's come from a system that used words into a system now that uses numbers.
A little bit easier to digest as Bradford and Minnesota have to burn a timeout. So it'll be a 2nd and 10 coming up. And so far it has been a Sunday afternoon walk in the park for Minnesota, up a couple of touchdowns.
Well, he really came out on fire in that very first possession. We said that some of the wide receivers had to make plays. With Stephon Diggs out, Adam Thielen provides the touchdown over Jonathan Joseph to get out to a 7-0 lead. And then they march right down the field on their very second possession. 9 plays, 55 yards, 1-yard touchdown run by Matt Asiata. Vikings jump out 14-0. The defense is clicking, not allowing Brock Osweiler and Bill O'Brien to get their offense going. So right now the Vikings are playing their style of football, and that's what their head coach Mike Zimmer talked about. He said, I believe they're starting to take on my personality. They're starting to play with a chip on their shoulder.
Injury update for the Texans. Jonathan Joseph being evaluated for a concussion, and their starting safety Quentin Demps being looked at with a calf, questionable to return. 2nd and 10. Bradford strikes and finds McKinnon. First down Minnesota on the catch and run. Run out of bounds by Cushing and McKinney, a pickup of 10.
McKinnon is doing one heck of a job. We already saw him running the football. He's played some quarterback in the Wildcat, but then be able to sneak out of the backfield beyond those linebackers, and he's moving the chain. So he's factoring in every phase of the game on offense for the Vikings.
So suddenly the back end of that Texans secondary like a machine. Already down there, one starting corner, Kareem Jackson. On 1st and 10, Bradford's throw is too high, intended for Rudolph, who has had a pretty emotional week. Played Monday night in that home win over the Giants, and his wife Jordan giving birth to twin girls late on Tuesday night. Hasn't got much sleep.
Pretty hard to overthrow your 6'6" tight end, but Vince Wilfork was bearing down on Bradford, forced a high throw.
This is 2nd and 10. A delayed handoff off the pump fake by Bradford. McKinnon inching a little bit closer to the 20. Now, this was one of the early photographs of the new dad. He and his wife Jordan becoming parents for the first time. What a week for them.
It's been great. Yeah, he's happy. A proud Cincinnati kid. He's got 2 beautiful twin girls. What a delight.
Finley Claire and Anderson Kate born late Tuesday night. He says his wife has been fantastic, letting him get as much sleep as he can. And strike by Bradford finds the target. Jerry is right. A pickup of 10, and it will be 1st down Minnesota tackled by Charles James.
Can't say enough about the accuracy and the ball placement on these throws by Bradford. Look, see how it's out in front of the receiver, leads him away from the defender, allows him to be able to hit that first down marker. So his accuracy is beyond good. In fact, it's excellent because it allows him to create yards after the catch. Really throws the ball away from the defender.
So first down, goal to goal from the 10. McKinnon tackled for a loss in the backfield. Clowney was right there, and McKinnon never had a chance. Look at the quarterback comparison. Like everything else right now, Solomon on the stats monitor, dominated by Minnesota.
Yeah, time of possession, overall yards, keeping the ball away from Brock Osweiler and his offense, and keeping his receiver sidelined. And Sam Bradford's been red hot for this football team.
12th play of the drive for the Vikings that began at their own 41. There's a pass. Patterson catches, lunges in, the football comes loose, but the officials say he was already down by contact, so it'll be a 15-yard hookup. Bradford to Patterson.
This is that wide receiver screen we were talking about. Just that little hitch. They get blockers out in front.
Number 62 reports is eligible. Number 62 is eligible.
His knee is clearly down on this play, Spiro, right there. Well before the ball game.
So third and goal, just outside the 1. Bradford looking end zone, incomplete. And the Texans with a much-needed stop there. Intended receiver was the fullback Zach Line, the fourth-year man out of SMU.
Pleasant was the last guy to come running out on the field really late, and he's able to make a play on the ball and keep the fullback Zach Line from making this catch. Had he not gotten out on the field, or maybe had they snapped it sooner, Vikings would have had an easy touchdown.
And here's Blair Walsh, who hit on a couple of point afters. He has missed 5 kicks, 3 field goals, and 2 point afters so far this season. Of course, that missed chip shot in the playoff loss to Seattle last January, but so far so good today. Walsh boots it in from 19, and Minnesota tacks on 3 on CBS. 15 plays, 58 yards on the Vikings scoring drive, covered just over 3.5 minutes, but it stalls inside that Houston 5. So Blair Walsh, 19-yard field goal, 17-0 Texans. Spiro Ditas, Solomon Wilcots, rest of our crew from US Bank Stadium. First official game here in the history of this brand new $1.1 billion stadium. Tyler Irvin crosses the 15 and brought down right outside the 20. 17-0. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Welcome to Verizon LTE Advanced, the next-gen network. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by the all-new Honda Ridgeline for truck-tough things and everyday things.
Some of the legendary figures in the storied history of this Minnesota Vikings franchise as they write the newest chapter in this state-of-the-art $1.1 billion stadium in downtown Minneapolis. Can the Texans get anything going? Still looking for their first down on the afternoon. Osweiler under pressure, backside, and nearly picked. Harrison Smith had a wide open seam of space in front of him in a pick 6.
They forced the 3-step drop, quick throw to the right to see pressure coming off his left side. This is that cut coverage we talked about at the beginning of the game. Harrison Smith cuts right underneath the intended receiver. Lamar Miller should have caught it for the pick 6.
Smith, the first-time Pro Bowler last season. We'll be seeing that one in his sleep tonight. Solomon, what can they possibly do to get their offense going? Another tough third down coming up.
First of all, running the football. You have to be able to manufacture rush yards in the early downs for Bill O'Brien. Once you put the quarterback in this third long situation, you got to expect Mike Zimmer to bring the heat with those blitzing linebackers. That means you're going to force that three-step drop, and then they're going to undercut anything. To me, you've got to find a one-on-one receiver and try to force the ball down the field.
Third and 9. Osweiler fires, and it's incomplete. Intended for Strong. DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller, by the way, still both looking for their first catch.
It was a delayed blitz, but that pocket was shrinking around Brock Osweiler. He tried to go with the quick throw, trying to hold it long enough to go down the field. You see he goes down there. Captain Munnerlin's able to cut underneath this ball. So they're clamping down over the top and underneath these receivers, shrinking the area where Brock Osweiler can throw the football.
Osweiler 2 of 8 for a grand total of 7 yards. Good punt, and this one will be played by Sherrills. Crosses the 30. Sherrills still going. Only the kicker to beat. Sherrills breaking free into the end zone for the Minnesota touchdown. Fifth career punt return touchdown for Sherrills as he builds on his franchise record, 79 yards.
You know, the real key is when you kick the ball down the middle of the field, you have to cover the entire field. And so you can't shrink it. And so the speed of Sherrills, stop it right there. See, he has great vision. He's going to press it there, but he finds the seam. But when you kick it down the middle of the field and you can't trap them on the sideline, just sheer speed as he just cuts right through the punt team for the Texans.
This one goes from bad to worse for Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans. Point after by Walsh. Marcus Sherrills, 79 yards on the sprint. Minnesota dominating Houston. 79-yard punt return by Marcus Sherrills. And everything going right for the Minnesota Vikings, 24-0 as we welcome you back to US Bank Stadium. Better than 66,000. First official regular season day game, and what a party it's been for Mike Zimmer and the Vikings.
These Vikings, Mike Zimmer said they're starting to play with a chip on their shoulder. Boy, that chip was pretty big. They've come out, and boy, they're taking it to the Texans.
This one booted through the back of the end zone as Irvin will take a knee. Week 5 continues later today on CBS, and for some of you on Fox. Tonight, Sunday Night Football on NBC, and tomorrow, Monday Night Football on ESPN, the Bucs and the Panthers. So Brock Osweiler, who has had by far his worst half of football as Houston's starting quarterback, again, still has not completed a pass Solomon to his top 2 guys, Hopkins and Fuller rather, nothing going right.
The pocket is shrinking around him. That means he's got to play a little bit more compact. He does have that long windup that requires a long step, but when that pocket shrinks, he's not afforded the area or space to be able to throw the ball accurately.
Osweiler from the gun on 1st and 10. Again, off balance as he threw it to Strong. And Strong forced out of bounds right around the 30 by Sendejo. It's a pickup of 6.
A lot of this is about the great coaching job that Mike Zimmer has done with the Minnesota Vikings. We talked about losing some top players like Adrian Peterson, Teddy Bridgewater, Matt Khalil, still missing Stephon Diggs, his top receiver, but his personality and the way that he coaches mental and physical toughness on both sides of the ball, and even on special teams, this team has adopted his personality.
And of course he drives a pickup truck. In a tough disciplinarian style as that pass for Hopkins a little bit overthrown. Now late flag comes in, you see it right from the Vikings secondary. Xavier Rhodes on the coverage. Those two going back to their college days in the ACC, Rhodes and Hopkins.
Yeah, Rhodes was at Florida State, Hopkins at Clemson. Hopkins told us, he said it was Rhodes who gave him his biggest challenge in college. Hopkins pointing to the big board upstairs for the visuals.
Looks like the penalty against
Pass
Minnesota.
interference, 29, defense. Ball replacement, spot of the foul, first down.
Yeah, there was some hand fighting on the back end. Now watch the backhand, and there you can see Rhodes reaching out with that left arm. We call that the arm bar. It's used to push the receiver off his mark so that you push him to the sideline. He can't get to the ball. In my mind, that's pass interference by the rule. You're playing the man, not the ball. You're not allowed contact with the receiver more than 5 yards down the field when the ball's in flight.
Turns out to be a 34-yard penalty, as you saw the first down for the Texans this afternoon. Can they turn it into points? 1st and 10. Play action. Osweiler stumbling and taken down by Robinson.
He slipped, Spiro, as he went to set up to hit the top of that drop. He wanted to throw the ball down the field. Now watch when he goes to plant that back foot. It just slips, comes out from up under him, and he goes down. You see Strong going down the field. He wanted to drive that ball down the field to number 11, but when he slipped, provided an opportunity for Robinson to swoop in for the sack.
So they give 6 yards right back. 3rd sack of the season for Robinson. Osweiler on 2nd and 16, slinging it over the middle, incomplete, off the hands of Ryan Griffin. Eric Kendricks on the coverage, and Osweiler took a shot.
We said both defenses will hit, hurry, and harass your quarterback. Well, this is just taking a beating. They are teeing off on Brock Osweiler. That was Anthony Ball taking his look.
Third and 16. Quick throw by Osweiler, finding Braxton Miller. Back after missing the last couple of games with a hamstring injury. Miller a couple of yards short. A pickup of a dozen. What do you do now if you're Bill O'Brien?
Well, to me, I think obviously you got to take some shots. In my mind, you've got to use Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins. If he gets a one-on-one opportunity with Xavier Rhodes, even their best corner, to me the offense goes through Hopkins, but you can't force it if he's double covered.
And keep in mind, Nick Novak missed the field goal earlier. Missed from 51 yards, so that you'd have to think is factoring in the decision here for Bill O'Brien, as the Texans will burn their 2nd timeout. But once again, this Minnesota defense has been lights out.
Oh, there's no doubt. We talked about their physicality. You can see them closing in, whether it's a ball carrier, whether it's in pass coverage, or whether it's hitting the quarterback, an opportunity for takeaways where they lead the league. 2nd in sacks. You get the sense that, boy, they're just one play away from that knockout we talk about. You can see what they've done so far this season, and boy, only allowing 26 yards of total offense to the Texans today.
Biggest play of the day for Houston. 4th and 4. Osweiler as they give chase, and they'll get to him again. Everson Griffin, there's a flag. Once again in the back end of the Minnesota defense in the secondary, as Griffin coming from the blind side. Here's the call.
Yeah, looked like it was
Holding, number 29, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I was going to say, it looked like Rhodes working against Hopkins. Hopkins is the guy you have to go to, particularly if there's going to be one-on-one coverage, as he was here. And there's going to be holding. Now, right now, he's in great position, but right now, you got to turn him loose and let him go. Hopkins has his hand on the face mask of Rhodes. Of course, the officials didn't see that.
Rhodes getting a lot of pub after his work the last couple of weeks. What he did against Odell Beckham Jr. on Monday night. Carolina shutting down Kelvin Benjamin without a catch on 1st and 10. Texans trying to take advantage of the second penalty called on Rhodes, but this kid in his 4th season in the NFL quickly making a name for himself.
Well, he's been able to shut down some of the top receivers in the NFL, whether it's Kelvin Benjamin 1 week and then Odell Beckham Jr. in the Monday night game. Not giving up a lot of catches, even though they're targeting Xavier Rhodes. He's doing a good job of keeping the intended receiver out of the end zone and keeping them from creating big plays.
Both of those career lows for both Benjamin and Beckham. 2nd and 6. Osweiler's pass off target, looking in the direction of Ryan Griffin.
These corners, whether it's Terrence Newman in his 14th season out of Kansas State, he was once the Jim Thorpe Award winner as the best defensive back coming out of college. And even Zimmer said, yeah, his legs are starting to age a little bit. But they've got depth at corner, whether it's Trey Waynes, last year's first-round pick out of Michigan State, Xavier Rhodes, a former first-round pick, Captain Munnerlyn. They can throw a lot of corners at you. That's why they cover so tight on the back end.
Third and 6. Osweiler throwing end zone, incomplete. Hopkins and Rhodes battling. It'll be 4th and 6 coming up.
We told you this Vikings defense, they've been good at taking away the opposing team's #1 receiver. Rhodes just does a good job of staying on top. And look, playing the ball, did a much better job that time. In fact, I don't think Osweiler should have gone there with the football. He had Lamar Miller as running back coming out of the backfield to the other side of the field, but he wanted to go to his #1 receiver.
So here's the 9th-year kicker, Nick Novak, missed earlier from 51. And this one will be officially a 38-yard attempt. Texans desperately looking for points. And they're finally on the board. So a couple of defensive penalties against Minnesota. Texans finally scored 24-3.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light, beer with your team on it. And by Honda Civic Coupe. Be the one they didn't see coming.
Plenty of smiling faces, U.S. Bank Stadium, downtown Minneapolis, as the Vikings looking for a 5th straight win. Haven't been off to a 5-0 start here since 2009, the year that they won the NFC North, something they did last season. As once again, a little bit of a change-up in the way that they are kicking off today. The linebacker Brian Peters able to boot it away. A 16-yard return by Charles Johnson. I'll be the first to know your team's news with the CBS Sports app. Get instant updates, expert analysis, highlights, and more. Download the CBS Sports app. Get it today. Spiro Ditas, Solomon Wilcots. 5:38 to play. First half in a game that has been all Minnesota till this point.
But you still get the sense if they can't run the football, then that means the Texans should be able to force some 3 and outs and get the ball back.
On 1st and 10, this is McKinnon, who, at least statistically, Solomon has been a more effective back in this offense than Adrian Peterson was the first game plus before Peterson went down. A margin of about 2 yards per carry. And the other thing without Peterson, Norv Turner doesn't really have the pressure to kind of build his game plans around Peterson week in and week out, and it's certainly opened up some other things in the passing game. This is Bradford on 2nd and 8, finally able to locate Rudolph. It's a Turner for sure continuing to press the right buttons.
Oh, this is going to be the tight end, Kyle Rudolph. And that's what Norv Turner's offense has always been known for, is getting the ball to those big tight ends, allowing them to create some easy throws for the quarterback. But now this Viking offense is facing a 3rd long situation. This is where the Texans, they have to be able to create plays pressuring Bradford and try to steal the ball on the back end.
Rudolph in motion, bottom of the screen on 3rd and 7. And the Texans and teeing off on Bradford. It's merciless again.
Left tackle T.J. Clemens is being destroyed by Whitney Merciless. The speed coming off the edge. Watch 68 Clemens. Look, knock the hands down, and at that point, it's just a walk to the quarterback. Come away with a sack. Third downs is where the Houston Texans, we talked about it being good. They have to be better today than they have been on first and second down, forcing third and longs, and then they can create pressure on the quarterback.
Merciless had a couple of sacks in their opener week 1. None since that point. So he has applied heavy pressure as he gets to Bradford for the second time. His punt is a fair catch is signaled by Will Fuller, and it takes a Texans bounce very close to their 45-yard line. So only a 34-yard punt by Jeff Locke. Well, the Vikings hosted their annual breast cancer awareness luncheon for survivors and their caregivers on Tuesday. Screening saves lives in the NFL, and the American Cancer Society encourage everyone to join in on the fight against breast cancer. You can learn more about a crucial catch day on October the 25th. Find out how you can help make a crucial catch at NFL.com/pink. We've got our pink breast cancer awareness pins. Solomon's even got his pink shirt on today, really dressing the part.
I'm going to do my part. What you love about the NFL, supporting wonderful causes.
You look good, brother. First and 10. Osweiler from the gun as they start outside their own 45. That pass finds the hands of Griffin. They'll pick up all 4 for the Texans.
No, he said the Texans, no problem. Yeah, they've gotten pressure on the quarterback, but they have to do a better job of turning back Sam Bradford in this offense. And then the Vikings receivers, they have not been missing in action. 12 catches so far in this game and creating touchdowns.
Hand off the shotgun snap taken by Osweiler. That's Miller. And again, Solomon, we put it out there for people that are just tuning in. No catches between Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins, who did draw a couple of penalties, but just an incredible defensive performance by Minnesota.
Well, third and short right here. They've got to be able to convert this third down play. Look like they're going to go tight here at the bottom of the screen, trying to get the ball to Hopkins.
Third and 2. Osweiler's pass. Boy, that one was nearly picked in the direction of Hopkins. Kendricks was there on the coverage.
I'm going for it on fourth down here, by the way. I'm not punting it. This is great field position, but yeah, Kendricks, we talked about these linebackers, their versatility, the ability to match up in coverage. They're good, what we call pattern readers of the wide receivers in those combination routes. They match up really well. It's a trademark of Mike Zimmer's defense. Critical fourth down play for the Texans.
Texans will have the football to begin the second half, but desperately needing points. Rolling the dice on 4th and 2. Griffin coming nearly untouched. Football comes loose. Vikings have it. And now we will await the penalty call from Jeff Triplett.
Offside, 97 defense. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Now Griffin came a little bit too quickly. Called for the penalty.
Oh, he was shot out of a cannon. There's no doubt. Watch him right here. 74, Chris Clark can only throw his hands up. I thought that was great timing. I thought he was right on it. Now look, the tackle.
Number 63 reports is eligible. Number 63 is eligible.
He might have moved into that neutral zone, but look, even Zimmer says, no, I think he timed that one up really well. Very close.
Griffin entered the day tied for 3rd in the NFL in sacks, 4 of them, 3 of which came back in week 3 at Carolina. On 1st and 10 after the penalty, that pass was caught by C.J. Fedorowicz, still playing with that sprained MCL that he gritted his way through in that home win over Tennessee last week, drawing a lot of kudos from his head coach Bill O'Brien. That time a pickup of 9.
Now it's going to be 2nd and 1. I'd like to see him take a shot down the field before this hits the 2-minute warning.
Still have 1 timeout in addition to that 2-minute warning. This is Miller. So that'll be a first down and 10 from just outside the Vikings 20. 2-minute warning. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, we don't want to get anyone in trouble in that Vikings locker room, but something tells me one of their equipment managers may be in some hot water as they misspell Everson Griffin's last name. One of their defensive stars who has been lights out so far for Mike Zimmer. 1st and 10 after the pass play as Osweiler starting to look in the direction of Fedorowicz. Tough catch, spinning in midair. A pickup of 15.
This play is open on the backside when they're working against the linebacker with either the tight end like you see here with Fedorowicz or the running back coming out. It started as an out route, but then Fedorowicz broke it off and turned it up, and he was able to beat Eric Kendricks on the play.
That was only the 5th first down for Houston and only the 2nd that they've had without the aid of a penalty. 1st and 10 just outside the Minnesota 12. Osweiler, quick throw, again looking at Fedorowicz. It falls incomplete. We remind you again, the Texans will have possession to begin the second half.
Yeah, but the pressure on Brock Osweiler has been immense here in the first half, and Bill O'Brien has to be able to dial up some plays that's going to allow him to get the ball out of his hands quickly, because Brian Robinson was right in his face as soon as he turned around.
Robinson, who's been doing it here since 07 for the Vikings. 2nd and 10. Osweiler looking, hit on the throw, and it's incomplete. And the Vikings just keep on coming. Anthony Barr making contact.
Very good thing Brock Osweiler is 6'8", 235, because, oh man, is he taking some licks here in the first half. Watch him try to escape here, but watch number 55, Anthony Barr. He'll stack on top of Miller and then fires off, gets to the chest of Brock Osweiler.
Barr, the former collegiate running back at UCLA, who nearly quit football as a collegian. What a player he's become in this Mike Zimmer coach defense. So Brock Osweiler and Houston have to burn their final timeout. Saw something he didn't like, and the biggest decision that Bill O'Brien has to make on a 3rd and 10. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report. JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher standing by in New York. Get you caught up around the league, plus a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. All to come on the Verizon halftime report. This is the Houston red zone offense. Hasn't been very good so far here in Week 5.
Look at that. They have to settle for field goals. Only have 3 touchdowns in the red zone. 2nd worst red zone offense, because A, you have to be able to run it, and your tight ends have to make plays for you here.
Third and 10. Osweiler throwing end zone. Not even close. Will Fuller was the nearest target. Griffin came into your picture towards the end. And on 4th and 10, O'Brien sends out his field goal unit.
Yeah, watch Fuller. He's going to go in and then slip and fall. Oh, no, that wasn't a slip and fall. That was just a tug of the jersey by Terrence Newman. That old veteran play of holding on to the receiver while he's in the end zone, forcing the incompletion.
Fuller, O'Brien's leading receiver through 4 weeks. Leads all rookies in receiving yards entering this weekend's games, but still looking for his first catch. Novak missed from 51, hit from 38. This one from 30. It is good, just barely.
Well, they certainly needed to convert on that field goal. I'm sure Osweiler and Bill O'Brien wanted to convert inside the red zone, try to get a touchdown. But this defense for the Vikings, where they make it tough on your offensive line, they make it tough on your quarterback, and this ball narrowly makes it through. Wow.
May have actually nicked the right upright as Anthony Barr and the defense doing their job getting off the field. We visited with Bill O'Brien last night talking about, the big story this week about the play calling, and he quickly wanted to put his foot down and said, look, I've been calling plays for this offense for the last 3 years, a lot made of he and George Gotze, who have been together for so many years. O'Brien coached him back at Georgia Tech. So they got a lot to talk about in that halftime locker room.
Yeah, and I asked Bill O'Brien point blank. I said, so it's your voice in the ear of the quarterback, Brock Osweiler? He said, absolutely. And he proclaimed that it is he who's been calling plays for the offense all season long.
An offense that has struggled mightily till this point. Only a couple of field goals to show for their efforts. Marcus Sherrills, who had the long punt return for 6 earlier, with a return of 13 yards. We started the show talking about both Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins, and goose eggs all around.
And it's not for a lack of creativity. It's not for a lack of talent when it comes to Hopkins and Fuller. What it is, it's a lack of time for the quarterback to throw the football. Osweiler has been harassed repeatedly. He doesn't have a lot of time, and then these bracket coverages on the receivers not allowing room to complete passes in high traffic.
On 1st and 10, quick delivery to Charles Johnson, who steps up in the Vikings wide receiver depth chart today with Stephon Diggs out with that groin injury. Vikings with a couple of timeouts left here, but don't appear to be in any hurry.
Yeah, the problem is Houston's had to burn some early timeouts, trying to adjust to this Vikings defense. And because you waste those timeouts, you can't stop the clock here. You're sort of at the Vikings' mercy. If you're the Minnesota Vikings, you don't want to use your 2 timeouts here. You want to try to eat as much clock as you can. Under a minute here. This is going to be your last possession of the first half. You get the ball back to begin the second half.
On 2nd and 8, they'll keep it on the ground to Asiata. Vikings, a team that has won 7 straight regular season games going back to last year. That's the longest active streak in the NFL. Their last regular season loss was December the 10th of last season against Arizona.
Spiro, I want to go back to the timeouts. You know, these quarterbacks who are working in new offenses and trying to get protection, sometimes when you have to burn those timeouts, it really can't come back to haunt you. However, there is a deeper downside to it. Is you go ahead and say, I'm going to save my timeout, and you go ahead and try to snap the ball, and the leakage comes through, hit the quarterback, and now you turn it over. What's worse, turning the ball over or having to burn that timeout early? I think you have to protect yourself from against that egregious play, even if you have to use the timeout.
One of a number of factors that these coaches go through. So the chess match till this point being won by Mike Zimmer as they dominate the Houston Texans in that first half, 24-6. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Legends Weekend here in Minneapolis. John Randall headlining some of the iconic names in the history of this franchise. Burns, Eller, Alan Page, and the all-time great coach, Bud Grant, the Hall of Famer. Just a couple of many of the names that'll put a smile on the face of Vikings fans everywhere. Halftime winding down. All Vikings 24-6 as we get ready for the third quarter. Time now to take a look at Who You're Loving, presented by McDonald's. Biggest play of the first half, 79-yard punt return touchdown by Marcus Sherrills, 5th of his career, as he adds onto his own franchise record. Hi everyone, welcome into our booth, beautiful US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Alongside Solomon Wilcots, I'm Spiro Dedes. Nothing going right for Houston and Minnesota. Some better offensive play, mixing the special teams and his dominating defense too much.
And just like the Vikings, it's true to form. They get the lead, then they turn on the defense, and they want to beat up the quarterback, Brock Osweiler. Here in the second half, I think Houston's got to get back to running the football and try to slow down this defense just to keep their quarterback clean. I love the way the Houston Texans ended the first half by trying to get something going offensively, and so they've got to be able to start making plays, and then maybe their defense can come up with a timely turnover to help out the cause.
Happy birthday, partner.
Well, thank you.
You didn't think we forgot, did you?
Oh, yeah, it's okay. I know little birdie told you, but it's quite all right. Thank you.
So we sit in for the second half, 24-6. Minnesota in front. Vikings looking for their first 5-0 start since the 2009 season. Here they went on to win the division title in the NFC North. That was Brett Favre's first year here with the Vikings. This team that went 12-4 last year, knocking Green Bay off atop their perch in the North, looking to continue. This is Tyler Ervin, the young rookie, streaking up the sideline and giving Osweiler some good field position, but not much to talk about for Brock in that first half, unable to find Hopkins.
Hard to put points on the board when you can't get the ball to your tandem of talented receivers. They're just swarming all over DeAndre Hopkins, and they're hitting Fuller at the line of scrimmage, even into the end zone, keeping him from coming away with a catch. Goose eggs for both receivers in the first half.
Fuller, as we told you earlier, their leading receiver through the first 4 games, as they desperately try to get those 2 players going. So 24-6, Texans down big as we begin the second half. First and 10. Osweiler's going to take a shot, looking in the direction of Fuller. A pass incomplete. Terrence Newman, the 38-year-old longtime vet, on the coverage.
What do you got to do in the second half? If you're the Houston Texans, we call it max protection. Even if you have to keep the running backs in to keep the quarterback clean, that's what you have to do for Brock Osweiler. And then the Minnesota Vikings continue those creative run plays, whether it's the Wildcat, whether it's the bubble screen to Cordero Patterson. It eats time off the clock. It helps create manageable third downs for Sam Bradford.
Osweiler has missed on his last 4 pass attempts. Play action on 2nd and 10. Osweiler, that pass is batted out of his hands. Robinson, the man who stripped it. There is a marker thrown in the Texans' backfield. Robinson had a sack in the first half. Our referee, if you've just joined us, is Jeff Triplett.
His offensive tackle's having a long day here in Minnesota.
Ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the fumbling team at this spot. It'll be 3rd down.
He's saying that Houston fumbled, but it was recovered by the Texans. They're saying this ball came out of the hands of Osweiler before the arms start moving forward. See right there? I don't know. I thought the arm moved forward and the palm had the ball in it once it started moving forward. But nonetheless, it was recovered by the Texans, so no harm, no foul.
So officially ruled a sack fumble and a recovery by the Texans. 3rd and 12 from their own 29. Quick delivery, caught. It's Jalen Strong, but well short. Needed the 41 for the first down. They pick up only 6. Harrison Smith, their Pro Bowl safety, on the tackle.
Spiro, you might ask, well, why didn't the Houston Texans drive the ball down the field further beyond the first down marker on that throw by Osweiler? He set the protection because they showed an all-out blitz. So during that all-out blitz, you want to get the ball out quick. They didn't blitz him. And so he was able to throw it, but not far enough to get the first down.
Can they stop Sherrills here? A 79-yard punt return for 6 back in the first half. Forced out of bounds, 54 yards on the punt by Leckler, 10 on the return on CBS. We told you earlier about some of the injuries that the Texans are dealing with. Of course, no J.J. Watt for the rest of the season. 2nd game since they shut him down. Jonathan Joseph still in the concussion protocol. No word on whether he will return. Quentin Demps, their starting safety, will not return. Left the game earlier with a calf injury. That pass from Bradford, perfectly thrown and caught by Thielen. 31 yards and a Minnesota first down.
A.J. Boye against Adam Thielen. And this is just going to be just a beautiful ball thrown right down the field from Bradford to Thielen. Look at that. Get one step on the defender, drop that ball in the bucket before the safety can come over, help to defend. A.J. Boye beat on the throw from Bradford.
Thielen, the local kid from Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. Made the team off that open squad tryout back in 2013 as Jadeveon Clowney dumping McKinnon for a loss of 1. Told you earlier, no Stephon Diggs for the Vikings. Diggs their leading receiver. And Thielen certainly chipping in to pick up some of the slack.
Yeah, without Diggs in the game, he's been the guy to get it into the end zone and creating the vertical passing game. It opens up everything else underneath.
Supplanting Laquan Treadwell, the young man that they took in the first round out of Mississippi.
Both start. Number 78 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That's Jeremiah Searles, again making only his second career start for the injured Andre Smith. First half possessions for Minnesota.
3 drives over 50 yards, turned them into touchdowns and a field goal. But they also got the 97-yard punt return from Marcus Sherrill, so 79 yards, I should say. But to be able to create on offense and then special teams, the way Zim's defense is playing, they're clicking in all areas.
On 2nd and 16, Bradford again from the gun. McKinnon doesn't have much room to maneuver. Simon, you think of how devastated that room was after they lose Teddy Bridgewater. Then you lose AP week 2. Matt Khalil, their bookend left tackle, lost the injury. It's hard to kind of put into words just how improbable this 4-game start has been.
But when you talk to the players, they all point to that man, Mike Zimmer, and said that he refused to let people hang their heads. He did point to how good of a football team they had, and then they acted promptly by going out to fill that void, bringing in Sam Bradford, sent the message to the rest of the team.
Here's Bradford on 3rd and 15. Pocket starts to collapse. That pass is caught. That's Jerry's right, a former 4th-round pick out of Arkansas, but he's well short of the marker.
Offense. 15-yard penalty. Repeat, 3rd down.
It's T.J. Clemmings, the man penalized.
Wow. They get to repeat the play. I'm going to say it's a face mask. There's Clemens right there going up against Whitney Merciless, who's shown no mercy on these offensive tackles. Got themselves a couple of sacks already in this game today.
Clemmings, the man taking the spot of Matt Khalil, who went down with that hip injury. So 3rd straight start for Clemmings. And this offensive line really one of the few weak spots for this Minnesota team. Mike Zimmer hiring Tony Sperano as his offensive line coach during the offseason to try to shorten things up, but just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, no Matt Khalil, no Andre Smith. You're missing both of your starters up front.
3rd and 30 after another penalty. This is Asiata just trying to get their punters some more room to work with. As Jeff Locke will come onto the field. A pickup of 6.
You just get the sense that the Vikings are going to need a little bit more on offense. As good as their defense is, that they're going to just have to be able to manufacture, generate a few more points, because we know that the Texans have firepower on offense. These receivers, I don't know that you're going to keep DeAndre Hopkins or Will Fuller hemmed in all day.
Will Fuller and Tyler Irvin both back deep, so Houston trying to play this. This will be Irvin from his own 10. Crosses the 20, takes a hard hit at around the 24. 52 yards on the punt by Locke, 15 on the return. 24-6, Vikings on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Applebee's new USDA Choice Wood-Fired Grilled Steak.
Better than 66,000 here at US Bank Stadium. First official regular season day game by the Vikings. And it has been dominant, to say the least. 24-6. As Brock Osweiler and Houston's offense back onto the field. A unit that, till this point, has amassed just 71 yards of total offense. Keep it on the ground, as Miller barely able to cross the 25. This Vikings defense has been doing it of late over against some of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, whether you're shutting down Aaron Rodgers, picking him off on the back end. Cam Newton, last year's MVP, just brutalized Cam Newton. And then to turn back Eli Manning and the Giants in that Monday night game. Mike Zimmer has proven that he has answers for some of the best quarterbacks in this NFL. I go back 3 years ago in 2013. Tom Brady had a touchdown streak of 52 consecutive games when Mike Zimmer was the coordinator of the defense in Cincinnati. Totally shut him out. And that was the tape that Bill O'Brien used to get his team ready for today's game, knowing that he would be facing some of the same looks.
Jeff Allen helped to the Houston sideline as starting right guard, so Chris Clark in his stead at the moment. 2nd and 9. Osweiler going deep off the hands of Fuller.
He had a chance. I thought Fuller did a wonderful job adjusting to the ball in good coverage by Terrence Newman. See, Terrence Newman stacked on top, and see that little jump, just a delay and kind of hang in the air so that he could make this catch, but then he dropped it, hitting right in the hands and could not haul it in. So great effort by Fuller, just couldn't finally execute the play.
Fuller, the 21st overall pick. One of the top first-year offensive players so far in the NFL. 3rd and 9. Osweiler throws up the seam, and it's intercepted. Andrew Sendejo on the pick. First turnover by the Texans. And the 7th interception thrown on the season by Osweiler. Injured Texan is Ryan Griffin. We've been looking at that neck area. You see him in a hard collision towards the end of this play on the Osweiler interception. Griffin, the young man who has started to hit his stride over the past couple of weeks. As we take another look at the very hard collision.
Not yet, Al.
He tries to tackle Andrew Sendejo after Sendejo made the interception.
There was a flag thrown on the play as well. Looks like Triplett is waiting for the trainers to continue to tend to Griffin. Texans already down a tight end. Their rookie tight end Steven Anderson was a scratch today with a hamstring injury. And you just hope that Griffin is okay. Just another piece that they can ill afford to miss.
And they're already down on their tight ends. Griffin was up as well as C.J. Fedorowicz. And that leaves Fedorowicz as their only tight end.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 55 of Minnesota. That unsportsmanlike conduct is of the type, it is his first. A second one will lead to disqualification.
All right, so that's Anthony Barr, who was penalized at the end of that play by Jeff Triplett. Well, as they continue to look at Griffin, another injury update from the Houston sideline. Jonathan Joseph, their all-pro corner, is out for the remainder of the game with the concussion. And so that means, Solomon, that they're out 3 of their 4 usual starters in the secondary. No Kareem Jackson, and today losing Demps and Joseph. So things go from bad to worse for the Texans. 1st and 10. This is McKinnon. Another flag flies. And Jeff Triplett suddenly a busy
Offside.
man.
Number 95 defense lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
It's Christian Covington, former 6th round pick out of Rice.
The Texans had to show some poise, some discipline. They had this Vikings offense backed up after the unsportsmanlike conduct on Anthony Barr. He can't give them anything. The Texans can get back into this game. They just need to start making plays on defense.
Bradford under center on 1st and 5. The give to McKinnon. And right now, Bill O'Brien looking for a play from this defense that continues to have to play shorthanded. There's Romeo Crennel, third year as their defensive coordinator, and now another injured player, this time for Minnesota.
What did we ask Vince Wilfork when we spoke with him yesterday? Take a look at, it looks like he's holding his knee.
It's Michael Pruitt, one of the backup tight ends. Vikings down a couple of tight ends, no Rhett Ellison and David Morgan, as they continue to look at Pruitt.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Welcome to Verizon LTE Advanced, the next-gen network. And by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com.
Back with you in Minneapolis. Training staff on that Minnesota sideline continues to look at their tight end, Michael Pruitt, who had the back of his leg rolled up on at the end of that previous play. Texans tight end Ryan Griffin wheeled into the Houston locker room. We'll try to get an update on him as quickly as we can. 2nd and 4. Just under 9 to play in the third quarter. Quick delivery. Bradford to Thielen again. Inside Texans territory. A pickup of 10 and a first down.
I love the way they stack these plays. They put Thielen in the slot. He's working against Kevin Johnson. And the linebacker was removed. He normally would have help on that route with the linebacker stacked in the middle. But because they put Jared McKinnon on the outside, the linebacker had to go out there to cover him. So it created some nice space and an easy throw from Bradford to Thielen.
Yeah. Only the 6th career start.
Hey, Kansas!
Detroit Lakes native, and a career day as he moves over 100 yards. Vince Salmon just unable to stay on the field, and now you have to wonder about the energy level of this defense, certainly if you throw in some of the injured bodies.
That's right. And the Minnesota Vikings have reeled off 45 offensive plays. We're still in the middle of the third quarter. Once you get around 60 plays, that defense can start to really wear thin. Makes it very tough for him. You can see Vince Wilfork got a pile of bodies on him. Something tells me he can take it.
It's about 330 pounds crashing down on McKinnon's body. That pass, boy, nearly picked. John Simon had it for an instant. Would have been an incredible play, and a play that the Texans needed badly.
Well, they needed Simon to hold on to this one. Great instincts to get into the passing lane of Sam Bradford. He wanted to get it over to Jared McKinnon. You see that back come past you. If he's not chipping you, he's sneaking out there for a reason. That means they want to throw the ball to him. Simon read it perfectly, nearly had himself an interception. Would have been able to return it for a touchdown.
Bradford, by the way, has now gone 137 attempts without a pick. And this is 4th start for Minnesota. On 3rd and 8, Bradford's pass right with the numbers incomplete off the hands of Rudolph. And very tight coverage on the play by the safety Eddie Pleasant, who's come on for Quentin Dips.
Pleasant's making some plays. Look at this, tight coverage. Yeah, he arrived early. There's no doubt he arrived early. But how else are you going to keep the 6'6" Kyle Rudolph from catching that slant route? He cast a big shadow blocking out Pleasant. Pleasant made contact before the ball arrived, but no call on the play.
Pleasant's going to have to play extended snaps in the second half with Demps done for the day. Out with that calf injury. Block's punt. It was fair caught by Irvin inside the 10. 37 yards. Perfectly placed punt by Locke. On Tuesday, in partnership with A Call to Men, Texans GM Rick Smith took part in the NFL's community program, A Call to Coaches, a free educational training event where coaches are empowered to build young men of character, to promote healthy, respectful manhood, and to decrease violence and discrimination against women and girls. U.S. Bank Stadium, famed new stall chant that has become one of the new traditions here amongst Vikings fans in this beautiful state-of-the-art stadium.
I get goosebumps. I get fired up.
Game had hit a bit of a lull. They're now with their defense onto the field. They're broken back up. 1st and 10. The pass from Osweiler is low and caught by DeAndre Hopkins. His first catch at around the 7:15 mark of the 3rd quarter.
Wow, and that's something. Not that they have not been trying, but the defense has been really good at putting pressure on Osweiler. The coverage has been tight on the back end on both receivers, Hopkins and Fuller.
This is the 15th drive this season that Houston has began a possession inside their own 20. That pass is caught. Jalen Strong, who had a season-high 5 catches in the home win over the Titans last week, 16 in the first down.
And that time the pocket was clean. Osweiler delivered the ball with great accuracy and velocity. And I think finding other receivers to go to, that may be the key in this offense for Osweiler.
Longest pass play for Houston this afternoon. 1st and 10. Osweiler delivers. That pass was nearly picked. Terrence Newman going right over the top of Fuller.
Well, some of these passes from Osweiler are thrown very well. You know, Fuller's got to compete. Look, that ball was in the breadbasket there. Receivers in the NFL have to be able to catch the ball and haul it in, even though you're hotly contested. You've got to be able to catch it in a crowd and come down with it for your quarterback.
The pass not nearly picked as I thought at first glance as they came right into the glare. So after the incompletion, 2nd and 10. That pass from Osweiler high again and caught. That's Hopkins. First down pass play. They pick up 11.
This is why you like to see the offense go through DeAndre Hopkins. Crowded by receivers. Even though Rhodes is in good position, he plucks that ball and goes up and get it. Able to come down for it, create a first down.
So finally the Texans have something going offensively. 1st and 10 with under 6 to play in the quarter. Osweiler has time, delivers and connects. Hopkins again. Hopkins breaking free, still going. Inside the Vikings 35. Marker thrown back at around the Minnesota 44. It's a 26-yard play if it stands.
It's going to stand because it's going to go up against Xavier Rhodes.
Prior to the pass, holding. Number 29 defense. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is first down.
That is the 3rd penalty in the game on Rhodes.
Here it is right here. Watch the separation at the top of the route. But then holding on Rhodes even though he slipped and fell down. And I think that's just a great example of how if you're going to play coverage, you play coverage with your feet and not your hands, particularly once the receiver is more than 5 yards down the field.
Rhodes is a kid who's had issues with penalties, had 7 over the first 4 games last year, but has shown a lot of improvement since. Osweiler's pass is caught. That's Strong again for the minimal pickup. As it will be 2nd down. Captain Munnerlyn on the tackle. They pick up 3.
And right now I think Bill O'Brien's got to be thinking if we get the touchdown here, we go ahead and go for 2. Go ahead and make it 14 points. We'll be down by 10.
Extra point wouldn't do much for him. But can they get into the end zone first? 2nd and 7. All passes so far. 7th play of the drive. Little sidearm delivery from Osweiler. Not even close.
Now you might want to hang in there a little bit more if you're Brock. Because the route combination between the tight end and Fuller, the receiver, it hadn't yet developed. So he just fired early because the pressure was there, but still thought he could have held on to it for a tick. Got to be in 4-down territory here.
Texans all of 11 on 3rd down. Osweiler set. Tom Johnson leading the charge for the Vikings.
Just great defense. Everyone's covered on the back end. Look at that. Captain Munnerlyn doing a good job. Xavier Rhodes locks up Hopkins. And then to the other side, Trey Wayans doing a good job against Fuller. And then they're unleashing that pass rush. Able to get to Brock Osweiler. You would love to have seen him throw it away, but he was in between the tackle box. Had to eat it.
Fourth and 16. O'Brien says, let's go for it. Fuller needed the 23. Not sure about that decision. Osweiler not giving Fuller much of a chance. Turnover on downs as Houston's offense stalls down big in Minnesota. Coming up tomorrow on CBS, TV's #1 comedy, really shakes things up with some crazy big news. This is one new episode you can't miss. The Big Bang Theory tomorrow, 8/7 Central, only CBS. Solomon, what have you seen so far?
Well, this is what we've seen. We said coming in, no Watt, no problem. But no, Houston, we have a problem because, yeah, they got 2 sacks, but they're still giving up yards. And Mike Zimmer, his wide receivers have really shown up in a big way. 15 receptions gone to 7 different players.
On 1st and 10, this is McKinnon. And just going back to that last 4th down play, Solomon, Houston fans watching may be like, well, why you throw such an underneath pass? But you made a great point. They can't block Minnesota defenders coming at Osweiler. You can't get it down the field.
They've tried everything. Tried max protection to protect Osweiler, but this relentless pass rush has brutalized Brock Osweiler. He doesn't have a lot of time to drive the ball down the field to convert a 4th down play. So they wanted to go with something quick, knowing that the pass rush is going to pour in on Osweiler. Wide receiver screen to Fuller. That play has worked well for them in previous games this season. They thought they could pop one there.
Bradford from the shotgun on 2nd and 8 as he continues to get rid of the football very quickly. Update time, JB and Boomer.
Steady bend.
3 touchdown passes on the day. This one to Antonio Brown. They take a 24-13 lead over the Jets. And by the way, Solly, I remember how it felt back in the day in the House of Pain. I know and I feel Brock Osweiler's pain there today in Minnesota.
By the way, you know what? Solomon turned 25 today. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to Solomon.
I like how you switch those numbers up, JB. I'll take it every time. That's great.
On 3rd and 1, keep it on the ground. This is Asiata running for a 1st down. We talked about Bradford getting rid of the football quickly in this up-tempo offense that's continued today.
It's one way to protect the quarterback. North Turner knows that. Ball out quickly, 1.7 seconds. He's got to be out before 2 seconds. 1 hitch, 2 hitch. Ball has to be out under 2 seconds, and then when you want to go deep, you've got to be able to give your quarterback a little more time and get it out before 3 seconds can expire. They've been able to do both to keep him upright and clean on 25 dropbacks.
1st and 10. Bradford probes the defense over the middle and completes to Rudolph. He has been held under wraps till this point by this Texans defense. They pick up 14 and a 1st down.
Well, Rudolph did the double move there on Brian Cushing. Coming out, see, pushed off on Cushing. If a guy who's 6'6" gets to push you off in coverage, that's how you get that wide open. Easy throw for Bradford. You get the sense, though, this is where we've done so many Houston Texans games. We were always used to number 99, J.J. Watt, making his presence felt. Whenever that team was in a pinch, they found themselves in a lull like this, J.J. Watt would make a play.
Watt out in California, still recovering from the back surgery. And of course, finished for the season. Asiata making the catch. And just to get back to Bradford, you know, we watched him the last couple of years go back to the 2 knee injuries. Just never looked comfortable in Philadelphia. I know he started to play a little bit better towards the end of last year, but you know, here it took all of 1 game, Solomon, to look like he fit with this team in this city. On 2nd and 7, another quick strike. This is Thielen again, able to duck inside the 30.
You know, last year, Sam Bradford had 5 games where he threw for over 300 yards or more. He was very productive. Now, they didn't win in Philly, but remember, Pat Shurmur was there then as the quarterback coach. He's now here with the Minnesota Vikings as his quarterback coach. And he was the offensive coordinator in St. Louis in those early days when Bradford was there. So no one knows Sam Bradford as well as Pat Shurmur. He knows what he brings to the table. He said, I love his decision making. I love his accuracy. And I love the fact that he doesn't turn over the football. He's doing all 3 so far this year.
3rd and 1. Bradford's throw, finding Asiata wide open. And that Texans defense completely fooled Croy Moore, the safety, finally on a tackle, a pickup of 20. And that brings us to the end of the third in Minneapolis. 24-6, Vikings on CBS. Scoreless third quarter in this beautiful new stadium. First ever day game in regular season play. You see the doors at the far side of the stadium open. I haven't been in a stadium quite like this, certainly not in this country, as they spent about $1.1 billion to build it. And so far the Vikings have been perfect here and everywhere, looking for a fifth straight win to begin the season. First and goal, this is McKinnon, as they continue to give Houston that 1-2 punch between McKinnon and Asiata. We go back to that last play.
See, the key is if you bring the tight end here, mass Asiata out of here, the corner should take that, and the safety has the tight end over the top. But then K.J. Dillon, he follows the tight end. They leave Asiata wide open in the flat. Number 36, K.J. Dillon, just do your job.
If you've just joined us, 3 of Houston's 4 starters in the secondary are out. They started today without Kareem Jackson, and today losing Jonathan Joseph to the concussion and Quentin Demps to a calf injury. Neither of those 2 players will return. Second and goal. Bradford going end zone. It is caught. Patterson for the Vikings touchdown. He snatches it out of the air. 9 yards on the strike from Bradford.
So K.J. Dillon had been in the game after he gave up the play to Asiata. Charles James II, number 31. He comes in. So they're down on corners, Spiro. And that's why Cordero Patterson, he's able to come down with that one. Bradford gives him an opportunity to make a play. He rewards Bradford catching the ball in close traffic. You can't even say it was bad coverage by Charles James II. It's just a better catch by Patterson.
Told you about Patterson's career trajectory. His first 4 years in the league had that very solid rookie campaign, the 9 touchdowns, but it was in Mike Zimmer's doghouse his second year, Zimmer's first year. Last year, only 2 catches the entire season, but came in, had a great offseason, and suddenly starting to factor big into this Vikings offense. All Minnesota on CBS. Vikings fans may have wondered where their receiving would come from today without Stephon Diggs out with a groin, but Solomon, Adam Thielen, and Cordero Patterson, who just had the touchdown, picking up the slack.
They combined for 10 catches, well over 100 yards, and they each have a touchdown. Last year, the Minnesota Vikings wide receiving corps were by far the least productive in way of touchdowns. Only 6 touchdowns with their wide receiving corps, and they came in today's game with only 1 touchdown receptions by their wide receiver.
Irvin takes a knee, and Osweiler will have it from the 25. Well, Thursday, your week starts here with the Denver Broncos take on the San Diego Chargers. AFC West battle as the defending champs look to continue their winning ways. Thursday Night Football, CBS and NFL Network. You see Osweiler trying to just get this offense going. Didn't do much over their first 8 possessions, 4 3-and-outs. But hoping that they've answered some things after their last possession. First and 10 from the 25. Osweiler again didn't have much time. Completes to Fedorowicz. Out to the 40. A pickup of 15. As Osweiler took another shot, it's a first down.
Mike Zimmer's defense, they're going to hit the quarterback. Look at the spin move by Griffin. Ryan Robinson coming up the middle and knocking Osweiler on the deck. Boomer talked about that house of pain when we used to go play in the Houston Astrodome. Boomer was a big guy. He was a tough guy at the quarterback position, but spent some time in the whirlpool, and Osweiler will be there tomorrow.
First and 10. That pass off the hands of Hopkins. We'll see that happen very often. Newman was there on the coverage. We asked Zimmer about Newman, and he says, oh, look, Terrence thinks he's still the same athlete he was 10 years ago, and they may have lost the step, but still so effective. And Sally's holding off the young man, Trey Waynes, who's right behind him on the depth chart.
Zim's one of those guys, takes players with him. He had Terrence Newman in Dallas, had him in Cincinnati. Now he has him on his top defense here in Minnesota.
On 2nd and 10. Osweiler's pass incomplete. And a flag comes in off the hands of Strong. Munnerlyn on the coverage.
Prior to the pass, holding number 24 defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That has been a highly penalized secondary today for Mike Zimmer and the Vikings.
But they're not short on corners here. You know, Mike Zimmer, everywhere he goes, he collects cornerbacks because he knows with a pass rush, he's going to need guys who can play tight man-to-man coverage. It's going to contest every single pass and not give you room to complete passes. He needs smart cornerbacks like Terrence Newman. And the veteran has really worked well with some of the young defenders in that secondary.
Newman, a 2-time Pro Bowler in Dallas. Osweiler somehow escapes the sack and is able to get rid of the football. Robinson had him wrapped up. But the 6'8" Osweiler able to get away.
This protection is breaking down. Zimmer is stunting, he's twisting, and these guys are beating the offensive lineman for Houston in some of the one-on-one situations and making life miserable for Brock Osweiler.
Osweiler 15 for 36 for only 140 yards, no touchdowns and a pick. On 2nd and 10, that pass, near side of the field, caught. That's Jalen Strong. Coverage on the play by Munnerlyn. They pick up 8.
There you see, that was just a nice throw by Brock Osweiler. If you keep the pocket clean, he can drive the ball with that strong arm, because that was tight coverage by Captain Munnerlyn. Just a really good throw, really good catch. They just haven't been able to be consistent in terms of protection, the passing game, and then catching it with the wide receiver.
Third and 2. Osweiler going down again. And this is what you call a coverage check. Danielle Hunter finally getting to Osweiler.
Look at Fuller. He's going to be double covered here. He's got help over the top of Trey Wayans. And then watch the double coverage here. Underneath with Newman. Harrison Smith over the top. Where are you going to go with that? And we already said this pass rush was getting to Brock Osweiler, so these bracket coverages are working for Zim and helping them to get pressure on the quarterback.
So Hunter, the second-year man out of LSU, entered the game tied for 12th in the league with 3 sacks, builds on his number. 4th time they've gotten to Osweiler on the afternoon.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. FedEx, helping small businesses simplify e-commerce. And by Febreze, eliminate odors you've gone nose blind to and breathe happy.
Vikings drive begins on their 13.
Now the tributes to Prince, the late Grammy Award-winning musician who passed away in April, and a Minnesota native, can be seen and felt throughout this new stadium here in Minneapolis. As Minnesota's offense back onto the field, 1st and 10. That is McKinnon, who has not been able to get much going. Tackled on the play by Bernardrick McKinney.
Now the Vikings are right around their average of 64 yards rushing per game. But it's all they need. They just need enough to keep defenses off balance, enough to protect Sam Bradford, buying time for him to get the ball down the field, whether it's play action, whether it's to his tight end. But they've just really have been very good at protecting the quarterback and generating enough plays against this Texans defense that coming into today had performed at a high level.
This is 2nd and 7. Bradford delivers off the hands of Patterson. Excellent coverage by Kevin Johnson, who made the start today for the injured Kareem Jackson. With NFL Game Pass, watch the games you need with condensed games in 45 minutes or the full broadcast version. Start a free trial today, NFL.com/Game Pass. Vikings looking to get to 5-0. They have a bye next weekend and will begin preparations for the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 7. That'll be a game played in Philly, and Sam Bradford will make his return there. Eagles, one of the other 2 remaining undefeated teams entering Week 5. Bradford on 3rd and 7. Closing the inside of the field. It is caught. What a catch by Thielen. 14 yards as they move the chains again.
Oh, this is a Mike Zimmer kind of football player. Effort, energy, and he just wants it more. Because that's really good coverage by Charles James. But look at the catch. I mean, he's got coverage all over him. Not only does he make the catch and come down in bounds, secures it and survives the fall to the ground.
And you hear about those open tryouts that NFL teams stage, and very rarely do you see a player stick. Made the tryout in 2013, was on their practice squad, and what a player he has developed into as his career day continues. Thielen, if you've just joined us, 7 catches for 127 yards. And Salman, you're right. He just fits the mold of the team that Mike Zimmer has built here with the Vikings.
Yeah, you give Rick Spielman some credit too, because when Mike Zimmer came here 3 years ago, this is one of the worst teams in the league, one of the worst defenses in the league. He came in and gave them that mental toughness that we talked about. They play fast, they play physical. Rick Spielman, the general manager, has gone out. He's drafted very well, collected talent via the draft, but to find players outside of the draft is how you build a team also.
At 2nd and 9, we're speaking of Zimmer, it had to be an emotional week. Yesterday, the 7-year anniversary of the sudden passing of his wife, Vicky, back in October of 2009 when he was the Cincinnati defensive coordinator. And certainly entering his mind as he got his team ready to play today.
Players don't like their coach, Mike Zimmer. They love him. I mean, it was Anthony Barr said, this is the best leader I've ever played for. I've heard players in Dallas say it when he was there. I heard players say that when he was in Cincinnati. They will run through a wall for Mike Zimmer. And, you know, players won't run through a wall for every coach, but they'll run through a wall for Zimmer.
On 3rd and 2, the pitch play to McKinnon as they force him out of bounds. Looked like McKinney was there. You can't say that Mike Zimmer didn't pay his dues. 35 years as an assistant at the collegiate level and in the NFL before finally getting a shot to be a head coach here in 2014.
He's like that college professor that maybe you didn't like a lot because they were the most demanding on you. But it is those leaders in our lives that truly make the biggest difference in terms of getting out of us the most potential. And that's why players really love him. He's hard on them. He pushes players to the brink, and then they end up performing, and they end up coming back and thanking him later.
This will be Fuller, who has been kept in check, to say the least, spinning his way out to the 25-yard line. 54 yards on the punt, 14 on the return. All Vikings on CBS. One-sided affair, all Vikings if you've just joined us, 31-6. So Mike Zimmer has built one of the best coaching staffs in the NFL. 3 former league head coaches. And interestingly enough, all on the offensive side of the football. 1st and 10 from the 25. Osweiler delivering, incomplete. We know Zimmer has things locked down defensively. And brought in some pretty good help on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, North Turner can coordinate some of the best offenses the game has ever seen. Tony Sperano is an expert of molding an offensive line, and Shermer, you know, he works with the tight ends. He also works with the quarterbacks, and you know, Zim, and on the defensive side, he's got Jerry Gray, a former Pro Bowl player, working with that secondary. So you're right, they've got it locked down on both sides.
Gray has been instrumental in Xavier Rhodes' development. On 2nd and 10, this is Alfred Blue, whom we haven't talked about much today. Picks up a dozen. One of the few running plays that's had success for Houston. 1st down.
And I think going forward, that's what the Houston Texans are going to need. We talked with the head coach, Bill O'Brien. They're trying to lessen the load on Lamar Miller, who's on pace to set an NFL record for touches by a running back in a season. So Alfred Blue is going to get some opportunity.
Blue last season was their starter the second half of the year after Arian Foster was lost with that torn Achilles injury. Rushed for nearly 700 yards. And that's certainly something that Bill O'Brien's going to keep tabs on. You see Miller, only 8 carries after entering the day leading the NFL in touches.
He had 22 touches last week, and in the previous 3 games he had 25 or more. So they're starting to tell him back, and with the score being what it is, might as well give him some time off.
2nd and 2, quick handoff taken by Blue again, the former 6th-round pick out of LSU. And that's the second first down that he's run for on this drive.
But Alfred Blue is a really good-looking running back. 6'2", 225. He's bigger than Lamar Miller. And the experience that he has in terms of pass protection, he can catch it out of the backfield and tough enough and good enough to run it in between the tackles.
Osweiler's pass on 1st and 10, batted down at the line of scrimmage. It was Daniil Hunter who got a hand on it. Reminder to stay tuned for the NFL Today update, time permitting. JB and the guys standing by in New York. We'll get you caught up around the league in week number 5. See Osweiler's numbers. We knew this would be his stiffest test of the season. And certainly threw some poor passes, but he was under duress early right from the opening kick. On 2nd and 10, this is Blue again. With some open daylight inside the 40. They'll pick up a 13, and they'll move the chains once again. Linval Joseph and Harrison Smith on the tackle.
Every now and then, you know, this defense, they get so happy to go rush the quarterback. They leave those seams for those quick hitting run plays like you saw there with Alfred Blue.
Osweiler on 1st and 10. That pass is incomplete. Well, this game certainly had a reach sound, but one thing we know about Bill O'Brien's Texans, this is a resilient group. Last year started 2-5, got them to finish 9-7, a home playoff game in January in which they were blown out. But all the bad hands that they've been dealt, they keep coming.
Yeah, they're dealing with some injuries, and we talked about the loss of J.J. Watt. I just keep coming back to who's going to become the leader for this football team. Where do they get the energy and that enthusiasm that he would have and tend to would spread to the rest of his teammates?
On 2nd and 10, it's Blue able to get to the 35. But keep in mind, even with this loss, they're still atop that AFC South. They entered the day with a 2-game lead, 2 full games over the rest of the pack. One of the more interesting divisions in the NFL. And so they'll try to lick their wounds and get back on the saddle next week. A big divisional game at home against Indianapolis. 3rd and 7. Osweiler's pass over the shoulder catch. Nicely done by Hopkins. Inside the 25, forced out after a pickup of a dozen.
Consistency is the name of the game. If you can make enough plays like that, great throw, even better catch by Hopkins. Talked about the offense going through him. This is something he did repeatedly 1 year ago, but what a catch to get both feet inbound.
Texans single season record last year for receiving touchdowns and targets. As Alfred Blue was tackled by Harrison Smith.
Purple jerseys flying all around. They play fast, they play physical. It's fun to watch them play.
We know Denver's defense has become the benchmark in the NFL. This Vikings unit not far behind them. Second and 10. Osweiler up the seam. It's caught. That's for Dorwitz. Still going, taking on tacklers inside the 5. And how about the toughness that this kid has shown? Second straight week that he is playing with a sprained MCL. O'Brien gave him a lot of credit. Showing some grit.
Give a hit on Osweiler again. But he stood in there and just slammed this one home to Fedorowicz. You know, Fedorowicz, one of those guys, just gets better. Every time we watch him play, he just appears to be a better and better football player. I think he could Ends up becoming an exceptional tight end.
22-yard pass play, 1st and goal. Quick pass caught. Hopkins in for the Houston touchdown.
Rhodes thought he had help inside, but no, you were all on your own against DeAndre Hopkins. Made for an easy throw. Got to give the man some help. Look, see nothing to the inside. Easy throw for Osweiler. No help for Xavier Rhodes covering Hopkins. Got to cut him off from going over the middle of the field. When you allow that receiver to cross your face, there's no help inside. It's too easy.
3rd touchdown catch of the season for Hopkins, 22nd of his 4-year career. And Osweiler, his 6th touchdown pass of the NFL season. Novak's point after is good. They go 12 plays, 75 yards. And finally, the Texans able to find the end zone.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. Try the new thick-cut autumn carved turkey sandwich. And by Voya Financial, changing the way you think of retirement.
Some of the great artwork that they have on display here at US Bank Stadium. Every part of this building is just incredible. See some of the spectators able to catch a glimpse down on field level. This place is second to none in the NFL, that's for sure. DeAndre Hopkins, short touchdown catch as the Texans score their first touchdown of the day. Inside kick as the Vikings hands team will play it. It's recovered by Laquan Treadwell. Well, coming up, Week 5 continues around the NFL. A.J. Green and the Cincinnati Bengals taking on Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and the Dallas Cowboys. 2 franchises that Mike Zimmer knows all too well. And boy, if that doesn't summarize who Mike Zimmer is, applying smelling salts. I can't say I've ever seen that, Sally, from a coach.
He normally has quarterbacks using that stuff. Guess you want to know what they feel like, right? He empathizes with the opposing quarterbacks. He is a tough man, I got to tell you.
Mike Zimmer, 60 years of age. I had a chance to visit with him yesterday. And of course, we see him pulling out. He drives the old 4x4 pickup truck. Just has that hard disciplinarian approach. And it was fun to hang out with him for a little bit yesterday morning. 31-13 Vikings as they close in on their 5th consecutive win to begin the season. This is Asiata, able to get to the 42. Pushing and shoving after that play. The other interesting thing that Zimmer told us is we talked about the evolution of this team. He told us that some of his veteran guys who kind of didn't approach him his first couple of years now actually start to say stuff to him. They talk to him a little bit.
He acted like he didn't know he had these young players intimidated. He says, yeah, I tell him now, hey, a couple of years ago, last year, you guys wouldn't say anything to me. Now I say, hey, we're going outside to practice. You guys got something to say about everything that I tell you I want you to do for me. I said, Coach, you had these guys, afraid. Zim has a way of being very intimidating, and as every single player said, that he has a way of getting his point across, and you know that he means it.
Texans burned the timeout, and so that stops the clock at 3:32 to play. Bill O'Brien sees that 2-game lead atop the AFC South. Cut into Week 5 continues. The Colts last check in front. There's Asiata able to run for the first down and pick up of 7.
Houston going to have to burn all these timeouts. Of course, you're not going to use one here. They just ran it for a first down. But you wanted to get a stop there and then see if you could force them into that 3rd down and try to conserve some of these timeouts. But right now, Houston, they're struggling to stop everything this Vikings team is doing today.
The question now for the Vikings, just how far can this team go? This will be their 8th straight regular season win dating back to last season. Longest streak in the NFL that's active. They will have a bye next week, and will slowly start to look ahead, make preparations for the Eagles in Week 7. What a game that'll be. Eagles at last check up in their game today as they try to get to 4-0. Last 5-0 start for the Vikings was 2009. That was Brett Favre's first year in the purple. What a season that was. Able to get to the NFC title game. So many memorable moments during that season. And with this defense, Solomon, really, there's no ceiling to what this team can do.
To me, it is about the defense. Yeah, you need a quarterback to give you a chance, but they're playing a championship style of defense. Need to add some more balance to the offense, but they have a balanced, what we call complementary football team. Special teams made plays today. We know the defense is good at creating sacks and takeaways, and Sam Bradford doesn't turn it over, which is real critical into having that complementary football team. And they hope that they'll get this guy back before the season's over.
Now, people forget AP could come back at some point at the end of the season. Went down with that torn meniscus in their Week 2 win here over the Packers. Peterson had been struggling before the injury. Was averaging less than 2 yards per carry. But even he's all smiles at this point as the Vikings 2 minutes away from a 5-0 start. 31-13, Vikings in front of the Houston Texans. Spiro Dita, Solomon Wilcots. Rest of our crew, Ryan Galvin, our producer, Andy Goldberg, our director. U.S. Bank Stadium, downtown Minneapolis, as the Vikings close in on a perfect 5-0 start. It's Matt Asiata on a pickup of 3. There's Mike Zimmer, their 60-year-old head coach. And you see where the Vikings sit, and of course knocking Green Bay off of their perch atop the division last season as they got their first division crown since 09.
Yeah, Green Bay had won this division 4 consecutive years and was looking for 5 until Mike Zimmer showed up. I think that's a huge deal to be able to dethrone a team like Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, who have been just running this division for half a decade. And then Mike Zimmer comes away and steals that NFC North Division title, and now they're looking to win 2 in a row.
Packers, by the way, will be in action tonight, Sunday Night Football, against the Giants. Meantime, Bill O'Brien and the Texans will fall to 3-2 as you see the Viking streak continuing. So many questions for this team as they will continue without J.J. Watt. Here's the schedule that is in front of them. Home for the Colts next week. And some tough games coming up. We know Oakland is much improved. And the defending champs in Denver later this month. Right now the Colts and the Titans both in front. Tennessee actually a winner. So Houston's lead atop the South a little bit smaller after Week 5. 8th straight regular season win for Mike Zimmer and the Vikings. Nice moment between the two head coaches as the longest active win streak in the NFL continues.
Well, they did it in an impressive fashion, didn't they? You know, Bradford's doing a good job. Didn't turn it over. Still hasn't thrown an interception. Had a couple more touchdown passes today, but this Vikings team is on a roll.
Again, the final, Vikings 31, Texans 13. Coming up next, Bengals, Cowboys, the Chargers, Raiders, or the Bills and the Rams. Now for the birthday boy, Solomon Wilcott. Spiro Ditas saying so long from Minneapolis. The NFL Today update comes your way next.